Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, everyone. So thank you for joining our in-person class at Lakshmi Narayan Temple and also the Zoom class virtually. Thank you very much because just your presence inspires me, to do this on a weekly basis. So I think the renovations at the Lakshmi Narayan Temple are going to start sometime in the beginning of May. So our classes, in-person classes, will continue until maybe the first week or second week of May, right? So let's begin with the Mangala Charan. Once again, the Mangala Charan is to invoke, right, the mercy, the blessings of the Supreme, the entire disciplic succession, so that this knowledge would not just become, superficial knowledge to us, but it will allow us to gain realized knowledge. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashtaprayashta Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So Hare Krishna, everyone. So last week we did a quick summary of part 1 of Canto 1, right? Essentially, Canto 1 has got 19 chapters. It can take 1 full year to complete it. Actually, we did Canto 1, Canto 2, and Canto 3 in about a year. But since we are starting the Zoom classes, we decided to, restart Canto 1. So, in regular academic knowledge, right, when you go to university, when you go to primary school, secondary school, etc., you will realize that it is actually a linear series of knowledge gain. But if you look at Vedic wisdom, Shastra, actually it is a circular fashion of knowledge gain. What do I mean by that? Actually, the more you read the Bhagavad Gita, you will realize that, wow, your realization changes. You will begin to see things differently. Right? So the more you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, going back again and again, you will begin to see the episodes from the Srimad Bhagavatam from a different light altogether. Okay? So that's the reason why I've got this schematic over here. Raj Prabhu, everything is okay from your side?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, very nice, right? So last week we went deep into understanding why is it that we take devotional service very, very lightly, very, very casually. We are in it. At the same time, we are not fully into it. And there are a few reasons for this. It's important for us to introspect and remove all of these anarthas. These anarthas are what is actually impeding our conscious intention of wanting to engage in devotional service, right? So, for example, Tattva Vibrama, which is essentially we not understanding the real philosophy of what Dharma is all about, right? We grew up with a, a perception of religion, which is like, you go to the temple to ask for something, and then you do a series of rituals to get it, and then you are pleased, you thank the Lord, bye bye. But actual religion, real religion, is having full faith in the Lord that whatever the Supreme Lord does is going to be for my good. He's my ever best well wisher, right? It's just that I may not understand, but in time to come, I'll realize that, wow, actually, whatever happened was for my good. And therefore, while I'm praying to the Supreme Lord, I know that He will give me the best of benedictions. It may not be a material benediction, but spiritually, I'm being uplifted. Because at the end of the day, what is most important is this spiritual upliftment. That is what is going to bring us to our next life. Right? All our millions of dollars, our billions of investments, etc., it's all void finally. And it's also the aparat, right? When we see a sadhu, we begin to have this ninda about the sadhu sometimes. Oh, yeah, in front of all of us is doing this, but who knows what's happening at the back, right? Someone who has given their lives to the propagation of Dharma, sometimes, we have fault-finding mentality in them. All of that will derail us, right? And the third, the 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 third verticals of activities which derails us is this thirst for the temporary material stuff. Okay, the more we have a thirst for this, the more you will realize that no, I cannot get onto this path of devotional service. Today we will read Queen Kunti's prayers, where she says that, oh, my Supreme Lord, you can only be approached by those who are materially exhausted. It doesn't mean that don't have riches and wealth and all that. You can continue to stay in your nice big bungalow houses, but know that this is a gift from the Lord, which I'm supposed to use in the service of the Supreme. Okay? And finally, weakness of the heart. Once again, it's very attached to, it's very related to the first three, which is attachment to things which are not bringing us closer to the Supreme Lord. Okay? I was driving my children to work, to school. Sometimes they listen to nice Bollywood songs. I get attracted to that also, right? It's all right, it's nice, it's fun. But you realize that in the morning when you wake up, the first thing you remember is those tunes, right? So I need to keep a check on myself that no, the first thing I wake up or spontaneously think about is the Supreme Lord's names. Okay? Right? So Kutinati is duplicity. In front of everyone, you showcase a certain facade, but in the back, we are someone else. Okay, my Guru Maharaj will say that, your true value is what you do when nobody is watching you. Hare Krishna, Karunamayi Mataji. Okay, so our classes will continue here until first week of May, right? Okay, so we spoke about this last week, so let's just move on quickly. And we spoke about the progressive stages of bhakti. The fact that you are here today, right? The fact that you are on Zoom today and not sleeping and enjoying, breakfast and, lazing around, is the fact that you already have a very adao shraddha. You have that faith already that, yes, this works. I may not be there, but I have the faith that the devotional process works. Where does this faith come from, Shalini Mataji? By the mercy of a sadhu, by the mercy of a guru. It can come from the previous life, but we have not perfected it, and therefore we are continuing, right? It could be a series of devotional services which we did in the last life, and therefore brought us with that faith. Why is it that sometimes a child is born and within a few years you realize that, wow, the guy has mastered the Bhagavad Gita, he's like spontaneous into spiritual devotional service. Raj, I will not want to embarrass you, but there's one devotee on the call right now, Raj, right? He's like spontaneous. I've known him for many years. He's just spontaneous from a young age. He has been into devotional service, right? So, and then the association with sadhus, that will keep on fanning that fire, all right, that ember, making it stronger and stronger. And then bhajan kriya, right? The sadhus can come, right? You can bring the horse to the stream, but if the horse doesn't want to drink the water, no result. So while you already have this faith, while you already have the association of sadhus, right? The sadhus is like, going into a Mumbai train, being stuck amidst hundreds and thousands of other commuters. And then if you want to leave the train, what do? You just need to come close by and the entire stream of the commuters will push you out. All right, that's the meaning of association of sadhu. They have it and therefore they can give it to you. The fire in them can, do miracles, mysterious miracles in us. But we need to also do our own sadhana, waking up in the morning, doing Mangal Arti for the Supreme Lord, chanting the Lord's names, listening to Katha, listening to Kirtan. All of these are important, and that will keep on feeding our Bhakti Lata beach. That creeper of devotional service, which was already there because a guru had placed it in your heart for you. All right, then steadiness or nishta. I've got colleagues whose names are Bhava, Ruchi, Nishta. And I will always tell them, do you know the meaning of your name? Sometimes they know. There's one Snigdha. And I was like asking my colleagues in Mumbai, do you know what's the meaning of her name? Then I will extract out the verse from Bhagavatam which explains what is Snigdha. Snigdha means the Lord has got a shining countenance, beautiful. Anyway, so these are all very nice names. So Nishta, then Ruchi. Once you have been doing it with steadiness, then you will have that taste. And once you have that taste and that attachment, it cannot be taken away from you. Okay? And then you have that bhav, and finally it is prema to the Lord. Okay. So, why does the third question by the sages was, why did the Lord come? The Lord came to reclaim the devotees who were ready to go back to Him. Why are we in this material world? Anuj Prabhu? Yes, we had that strong desire to be independent from the Supreme Lord, to enjoy independently, and therefore the Lord created this material world for us. Enjoy as much as you want, Karunamai. When you are tired, come to me and I'll take you back. Okay? So then the Lord, Sutta Goswami then explained to the sages of Naimishranya the different avatars who actually come again and again and again to reclaim us. Okay? Sometimes the Lord doesn't come through His avatar. He may come through His own devotees. Okay? So, if you watch that video where I'm giving that short little class in Brahmapuri, I spoke about the Kumaras. Okay? The 4 Kumaras. Right? Brahmaji's children are the Kumaras. And he said, okay, now you need to bring about that population in the material world. And they said, sorry, we're not interested. Right? We want to just worship the impersonal Brahman. Then they went to the spiritual world, Vaikunta, to have an audience with Vishnu. Their conception of Lord was that, okay, you may have the personal feature of the Lord as Bhagavan, but the Brahman Jyoti is much greater, all right, than the Lord himself. But the moment they saw Vishnu, the moment they smelt the Tulsi Manjaris on the Lord's lotus feet, they realized that, wow, actually the Lord is a person and he's so much greater than the impersonal energy. So that's the Kumaras. And then you have the Boar avatar, Varahadev. Okay. Then you have Narada Muni. Today we will learn about Narada Muni. Then we have Nara Narayan. When we invoke the mercy from the Lord, when we are reading the Bhagavatam, we have this description of Nara Narayan. We have Kapila Muni, the third canto towards the end. You will see the Lord coming as Kapila Muni, right? Then you have Dattatreya. Prabhuji knows the pastimes of Dattatreya. We actually discussed, how he was teaching everyone that we can see the Lord in all the elements. This will come in canto number 11. Okay, then Yagya. So these are all the different avatars. Rishabdev. So, the Jains, the Jain community, actually, Jainism started from Rishabdev. Bhagavatam explains. Oh yeah, Anuj Prabhu is a Jain, by the way. He's a Jain. But he has come into Krishna consciousness. Right? So started with Rishabdev, very nicely explained in the Bhagavatam. Then Prithu Maharaj. Right? You got the word Prithvi, right? From Prithu Maharaj, because he was empowered to cultivate earth. Right? And then you had Matsya avatar, the fish avatar. Then you have Kurma avatar, the turtle or tortoise. Right? Dhanvantri. Dhanvantri is, when the Devas and the Asuras were churning the ocean, Dhanvantri actually came by. Similarly, Mohani Murti also came, all right, to confuse the Asuras. Then Narsimhadev. And then we have Vamana Dev. Devotees are like Vamana Dev. They will just tell you, oh, it's nothing. You just come for class. Just come and have prasadam. Slowly, they'll get into your lives and they'll make you a devotee also. Just like how Vamana Dev just asked for 3 steps. I just want 3 steps of land. Okay. Then you have Parshuram. Then you have Vyasadev. Okay, Vyasadev. Right? We are learning the Bhagavatam all because of Vyasadev. Then Ram, Balram and Krishna, Buddha. Right? So one day in the future, we will explain why did Buddha actually come at a particular time. Right? And then why Shankaracharya came. And then why Ramanujacharya came after that. Ramanujacharya. So yesterday was his appearance day. Yeah. Actually, in the temple in Tiruchi, is it? In Tiruchi? Yeah. You can actually see his body. Is it Tiruchi? Tiruchi, no? Okay. It's embalmed. Correct? Huh? Sri Rangam. Huh? Okay, Sri Rangam. Oh, in Tiruchi. Okay, then we have Kalki Avatar. Yeah, some God-men claims that they are Kalki Avatar. But Bhagavatam explains very clearly that Kalki Avatar will come in this village at this point in time when Kali Yuga is towards the end. Okay. So now, Bhagavatam 1.3.28. Okay, there's this Paribhasa Sutra verse, which is like one of the most important verses in Bhagavatam, which establishes who Bhagwan Sri Krishna is. Okay, let's recite together. Eta chamsa kala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Vradayanti Yuge Yuge. So we went through the entire series of avatars. Okay, of all of the above mentioned avatars or incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. the Lord incarnates to protect the atheists. So this is what Bhagavatam is saying. But of course, there are certain sampradayas who do not take this as it is. Okay, they believe Lord Vishnu is the greatest, which is fine. We don't get into these discussions. They're the same. For us, they are the same, and we don't get into this discussion. So now today we are getting into the second part of Canto number 2, right? Where we learn that the progress in bhakti is credited forever. Krishna says, right, that whatever you have done for me, right, in case you cannot perfect it in this life, in the next life when you come, you continue from where you have stopped. Okay, Bhagwanji, right? So we learn about the story of Ajamila. Ajamila was an amazing Brahmana. Amazing Brahmana. He knew the scriptures. He was always chanting the Lord's name. He knew who the Supreme Personality of Godhead was. Right? He was brought up in a nice Brahmana family. One day he went into the forest and he saw, all right, a couple embracing each other. And that particular picture could not be erased from his mind. All right? And what happened was that he got married to a prostitute, right? His second wife. The first wife, he already had a number of children. Then, because he was so much into lust, he got married to another lady, right? And he forgot all of his devotional service. The entire sadhana was all forgotten. Okay? He had a number of children after that. And his youngest child, one great thing which he did was he named the child Narayan. Right? So Narayan, let's play. Narayan, it's time for you to eat. Like this, he went on saying Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. It's because of the Sukriti which he had in his initial days. Is credited forever. And therefore, by providence arrangement, he also named the child Narayan, so much so that at the time of death, right, he saw the Yamadutas coming with the chains, etc., all ready with the barking dogs, all ready to bring him to the to Dharmaraj's kingdom, right? So when he saw that, he got, with all that ghastly figures, he got really intimidated and scared, right? And he shouted out for his son Narayan. He shouted out, Narayan, please help me. And while he was shouting out, the Vishnu Dutas actually came because he had shouted out Narayan's name. And then the Vishnu Dutas and the Yama Dutas got into an argument. No, he is ours. And the Vishnu Dutas said, no, because he had chanted the Lord's name even once, he is ours. And therefore, he needs to go back to Vaikuntha. Right? The Yamadutas went back to Dharmaraj and asked, I thought we were the kings over here. We were the ones who will decide and bring them to your kingdom. But we realized there's one more party there. And then Dharmaraj or Yamaraj explained that no, all right, the other party is responsible for reclaiming those who have devoted their lives. Okay, but did he immediately go back to Vaikuntha? No, actually, he continued living over here. He was given a second chance, and then he perfected his life. Okay, so you see, whatever we do is credited forever. Have that faith. Now let's look at the power of association and the power of prasad. Okay, so when we eat regular food, which is not offered to the Lord, we are actually eating sins. Because let's not forget, even the poor vegetable had to give up its parts to sustain you, right? You have to take a little bit of that sin. Yes, there is a little bit of karma. Right? But then how do you make it a karma-free meal? When you offer this to Yagyapati, when you offer this to Krishna, then it becomes karma-free. It becomes prasad. Very simple process. The same food, but once you dovetail it in the worship of Krishna, it becomes prasad. Okay? So now let's look at the story of Narada Muni. So Narada Muni was the son of a maid servant. Okay? His mother's role was, after the Bhakti Vedantas had concluded their yagyas and their worship, etc., her work was to clean up the place. Right? So Narada Muni, in his past life, 5-year-old boy, 3-year-old boy, 4-year-old boy, he'll be helping his mother to clean up. And then with the permission of the Bhakti Vedantas, he will, whatever remnants, whatever food which was not finished, he will partake that food. Okay? So it is prasad, and then eaten by the Bhakti Vedantas, whatever was left even became more purified. By the way, when you go to Jagannath Puri, right, you know why they call it Maha Prasad? Because first it's offered to Lord Jagannath. And then that same prasad goes to his devotee. Who? Anuj? Bimla Mata, Durga Mata, goes to him, her. And then it is served to everyone. Okay? So that's the power of Prasadam. Right? So he was engaging in the service of the Bhakti Vedantas. He was helping them, cleaning up, etc. One fine day, a snake came and bit the mother passed away. He was all alone. Okay? Now you may wonder, yeah, but the mother was doing the service for the Bhakti Vedantas. How can the snake just come and bite her? Why Krishna did not help? How will you answer this? Bhagwanji, why Krishna didn't come and help him? Help her, help the mother. Okay, very good. So essentially, the Lord protects your spiritual life, your spirituality, your devotional service. The Lord protects that. Okay, very nice. Thank you, Bhagwanji. Right? So the child grew up with the sages doing service, etc. At the end of the child's life, he came back as Narada Muni. Okay? So you see the power of association, the power of serving the sadhus. Our hearts become purified. All the sins are eradicated. Sorry, the spelling. Yeah? Okay, he took the remnants and he became purified. Just hearing Lord Krishna's glories in the association of devotees, it increases our ruchi for hearing, our taste for hearing. Okay. So, the Bhagavatam then explains that the material miseries of the living entity can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service of Bhakti Yoga. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature which is in relation to the supreme truth. Okay. Once again, this is not the first version of Bhagavatam. Right? After writing this, he still felt despondent, and therefore the Narada Muni came and told Vyasadeva, because we have not glorified the Supreme Lord sufficiently, and therefore version 2.0 came by. Okay. So we need to remember the 9 processes of bhakti actually begins with hearing. And I will urge you to, go to YouTube. There are so many amazing videos by the sadhus, right? Of course, they have to come in a proper parampara, right? A few days ago, I saw this Maharaj who has a huge following in the West. Right? He actually came to Lakshmanaran temple once, and I was like watching him. Okay, let's not get into that process of me belittling anyone. And I was very respectful. But what really intimidated me 2 days ago was Tulsi Maharani's leaves were placed on his feet. You don't even place Tulsi Maharani's leaves on Radharani's feet. Okay? You place it on her hands. So she offers to Krishna. And this person accepted Tulsi Maharani's leaves on his feet. Yeah. Anyway, so hear from the right people, right parampara, etc., not someone who comes up with his own parampara, right? So when the Lord is fully satisfied with the sincere efforts of the devotee, the Lord becomes soul to the devotee, Yeah, because we have been doing so much. You guys have been doing so much for the Lord. The Lord says, how do I even pay the gopis back? How do I even pay the devotees back? He may endow the person with the loving transcendental service. To the extent that we are eager to serve the instructions of Guru and Krishna, the degree one will be free from sense gratification, and that degree he will want to go to the spiritual world. So Shalini Mataji, you will remember, when we are hungry, what do? We eat food. The moment we eat food, what does it do? It satiates our hunger. There is santosha, there is satisfaction. And then it nourishes the whole body. And finally, you do not have that inclination to eat more. Similarly, when you hear Hari Katha, when you engage in devotional service, it nourishes the body. Number one, it satisfies you, satisfies your soul, and then you have no taste for the material. Right? You will be doing your service, yes, you will be doing your occupational duties, but you, and to the best of your ability. It's not that, oh, because I'm getting into devotional service, I neglect my office work. No. Krishna says, you do your duty to the best of your ability, but, what's it, Raj? Raj in person. No, okay. But what about your occupational duty? Yes, but do not be attached to the results and offer the results to Yagyapati. Pradeep ji, all okay? Thank you. There's another Pradeep here. Okay. So now we go further into Canto number 1. So you see, you will realize that, hey, how come suddenly there's Ashvatama, there's Narada Muni, there's the story of Ajamila, and then Queen Kunti suddenly comes in, and then Bhisma suddenly comes in. Why? Because Bhagavatam is a series of questions and answers. So when the sages at Naimishranya ask Sutta Goswami a question, and then he answers a few chapters around that, then the next question comes by. Okay? So Sutta Goswami is speaking to the assembly of sages. Who is the head of the assembly? Shaunaka Rishi, the current Prime Minister of Britain. Got the same name, Rishi Shaunak. Actually, he went to the ISKCON temple in UK. And then Keshav Swami showed him where his name is in Bhagavatam. He was shocked. Okay. So this conversation is actually a repeat conversation referring to which conversation? Sukadev Goswami and Pariksit Maharaj. Okay. But nested within the Bhagavatam are other conversations. For example, very good, Maitreya Rishi and Vidura and Uddhava, and very good. Okay. Jivan safal ho gaya. Okay. So now Arjuna captures Ashvatama. So Mahabharat war is going on, right? And very hard to catch Ashvatama, right? What Ashvatama does is he releases the Narayan Astra, and millions of soldiers are killed, all right? And therefore, the Pandavas said, no, we need to capture him, right? And his father, who is his father? Drona Acharya. Drona Acharya is the guru of Arjuna. How to kill him? So difficult, right? Just moments before this, Bhima had killed an elephant. The elephant's name was Ashvatama. Okay? So Krishna told Bhima, told Yudhishthira, you go and declare loudly that Ashvatama is dead. That is how you are going to be able to kill Dronacharya. But Yudhishthira Maharaj is Dharamraj himself. How can he even say a lie? So then Krishna says, you just say, Ashvatama has been killed by Bhima. No, Ashvatama has been killed. The elephant Ashvatama. Softly. Right? So this is how Krishna tricked Dronacharya to get into a meditative stage. And then Dhristadyumna, who is the brother of Draupadi, killed the father. Dronacharya. Okay? Can, huh? A little bit confusing, but okay, that's not the essence. We will go a little bit further. On the Zoom, is everybody fine with the pace? We will give you a 10-minute break shortly. Okay? You can have your tea, coffee, your biscuits shortly. So, then what happens is Arjuna goes and captures, right? Captures Ashvatama. Not easy to capture him, right? Not possible to capture him. When Ashvatama realizes that the father has been killed, on the 18th day, what he does is he goes into the camp of the Pandavas, and to make his boss Duryodhana, all right, to make his leader Duryodhana happy, he couldn't kill the Pandavas, but he killed the UpaPandavas, the children of the Pandavas. All right, he brought the heads to Duryodhana. I've killed them, I've killed them. What Duryodhana did was he just touched the skulls and he said, these are soft skulls. It cannot be the Pandavas. He says, yes, these are children of the Pandavas. And Duryodhana screamed and cried, how could you kill? We will all die, right? But how can you stop the lineage of our family? Right? So a little bit of piety was also there in Duryodhana, a little bit of piety. Okay. So Arjuna then makes a vow that to Draupadi that, right, I will wipe off your tears after I capture him. Right? Once I cut off his head, then you can bathe by standing on his head. Right? So he makes this promise. Okay, and that's the time Krishna comes into the Bhagavatam. Okay, so now from 1.7.17 is the moment where you will see suddenly Krishna appearing in Bhagavatam. Right? So all this while we heard about his glories, now we will hear more about the Lord. Okay, so finally, okay, so Ashvatama gets terrified and he started to run on the battlefield, and he realizes that his horses are fatigued, and he releases one Brahmastra. Okay, but he doesn't know how to retrack it back. So Krishna tells Arjuna to retract it. But before that, Arjuna glorifies Krishna with 4 verses of prayers. Not straight away. Now, please help. No, not like that. Huh? I hope it works. Sometimes I get a little bit dramatic. It's all okay with the audio?
Yes. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, I need to change. Just a minute, yeah. Okay, is it better now?
Yes, it is.
No, I'm just trying to see. Okay, anyway, that should be fine now. Okay, so Arjuna then, right, releases his own Brahmastra and, right, curtails Ashvatama's Brahmastra. Okay. So then they managed to capture Ashvatama. And they bring Ashvatama to Draupadi. Yes, the 4 shlokas, right? So you see, even Arjuna, at the point of war, he doesn't straight away say, Krishna, help me. He glorifies Krishna first. When Utara, right? The daughter-in-law of Arjuna, when she sees the Brahmastra coming, she doesn't say, my father-in-law, please help me. Krishna, please help me. Again, she glorifies Krishna first. Okay? So you see, that is how the regular etiquette is when we approach the Lord. When we go and see the Lord, Sri Sri Lakshmi Narayan, Sri Sri Radha Krishna downstairs, we need to actually start by looking at the lotus feet of the Lord, then go to the face up. That's the right etiquette. Okay? So then both Brahmastras are retracted. Okay. So now Draupadi is telling, don't kill Ashvatama, although he has killed my 5 children. How to make sense of this? Right? Actually, Arjuna also doesn't want to kill, but Bhima is saying, no, you must kill. Yudhishthira Maharaj says, no, don't kill. So now Krishna tells Arjuna, you decide how you're going to be doing it. There you have to satisfy your wife and your eldest brother, and on the other side, you have to satisfy Bhim. And then you need to do the right thing. So what he does is, Ashwatthama was born with a jewel on his head. Right? So he cut off the jewel and then cut off his hair. So for a Kshatriya, this is worse than death. And then they just let go of him. But Ashwatthama was still so furious. Right? So furious. So Arjuna thus cuts off Ashwatthama's hair and removes the jewel. Such humiliation is as good as death. Okay? So what are the reasons why? Bhagavatam explains why Draupadi says, don't kill Ashwatthama. She's a mother and she says, I know what I'm going through. I do not want Kripi. Kripi is Ashwatthama's mother to go through the same. Right? So just let him go. Right? She has the piety because she says that, Arjuna, let's not forget, he is the son of your guru. And he is the son of a Brahmana's family. How can you kill? All right. So she was like giving that reason and justifying that you should not be killing. And she, as a mother, she has that kindness and humanity in her. All right. And she says, just let's be merciful. She has that full mercy as a mother. And she doesn't want anyone else to feel the same pain as she is. And her greatness was based on her willingness to show proper respect for a great family. Right? So now that episode is done. Ashvatthama is still not happy. I've killed the 5 UpaPandavas. Duryodhana is very upset with me. What do I do? Let me also kill the remaining survival embryo which is surviving in Utara's womb. Okay, so he lets go of another one more Brahmastra. Okay. And Utara now cries, Pahi Utara Vacha, Pahi Mahayogim. Again, she's glorifying Krishna first. Deva Jagatpate, Nanyam Tvat Abhayam Pasye, Yatra Mritu Parasparam. O Lord of Lords, Lord of the universe, you are the greatest of mystics. Please protect me, for there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death. Utara says, let the Brahmastra kill me if you so desire, O Krishna, but please protect my embryo. The Brahmastra heat was so intense, it actually burnt the body of Pariksit. But Pariksit was, as a spirit soul, he was just watching. The Lord came as atom end, like a thumb, and circled around him and gave him the body again. That is why Pariksit Maharaj, he's called Pariksit because he actually witnessed the Lord coming and protecting him in his mother's womb. Okay? So Bhagavatam explains, he's thumb high. The Lord is thumb high, with yellow like, lightning like cloth, yellow cloth, Pitambari, is it? Pitambari you call it? Yeah. All right. Beautifully blackish and with a shining gold crown. This is how the Lord came and protected him. Okay. So we get the first description of Paramatma. And we will take a short break and we'll be back in 10 minutes. So Mataji, who prepared the prasadam, please serve us. Any questions from the Zoom audience? Raj, the audio is fine, yeah?
Yeah, it's quite well.
Okay, somehow it's like not that good. I can hear you, but it's okay, no problem. Is this audio better than just now?
Yeah, much better, Prabhuji.
Okay, very good. All right. Okay, please have a short break, yeah? We will come back at 10:05. It's 9:55 right now. 9:50, yeah? 10 o'clock sharp, please be back. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna, welcome back. All okay, Malti, Raj, audio is okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, perfect, perfect.
Okay, very good. Right, so we will proceed now. So we spoke about Ashvatama, we spoke about Utara, right? And we spoke about Arjuna. And then Krishna comes in which verse? 1.7.17, right? Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna comes, when Arjuna is totally confused, and then Krishna explains, right, the philosophy. So now we spoke about the son, Arjuna. We spoke about the daughter-in-law, Utara. We spoke about the grandson, which is to be born. Who is to be born? Pariksit Maharaj. Now let's go on to the grandmother, Queen Kunti. Okay. So now we are going to go into the prayers of Queen Kunti. These are really amazing, marvelous prayers by the queen who is going through so much of difficulties in her life. These are celebrated 25 verses which appear in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In fact, Srila Prabhupada has written a book on this called The Prayers of Queen Kunti. This is the cover, right? So, amazing prayers, and many devotees have recited these prayers in Sanskrit on YouTube. You can listen to them. But today what we will do is I've extracted maybe 6 to 7 of the most important verses, in my opinion. The rishis, the sadhus, etc. may not agree with me, but I wanted to really summarize this, and therefore I'm giving you a series of about 7 to 8 verses. So once again, 25 celebrated verses which goes deep into the heart of a mother, which goes deep into the heart of a queen, which goes deep into the heart of an aunt who knows that her nephew will be embarrassed if she calls him the Supreme Personality of God. Okay. So what has happened is I've got... Right, so over here you can see the war is over. The war is over, and Krishna says, it's time for me to go to Dwarka. Right? Then Arjuna says, don't go. Right? And then Utara also cries out and says, don't go, because the Brahmastra is coming. After all that episode, Krishna is getting ready now. And then Queen Kunti comes running. Right? And she says, please don't go. Krishna remains for a few days. Okay. But how does she tell him not to go? She recites these 25 verses. Let's look at this. She starts off by saying, let's recite together. It's really nice. Huh? Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. My dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distress, and you are also the source of the entire creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So what she's trying to do is, she's trying to remind Krishna of his associations. With whom? With the gopis. Just imagine, Krishna came away from Vrindavan for a long time. The longer the time of separation, the more yearning the heart becomes. She's reminding him of the love of the gopis, the love of Radharani, the love of the damsels of Vrindavan. Okay? And at the same time, she's saying that anyone who is going to distress, you are their friend. Because we may not realize, okay, that you have a plan for us. Okay? So she will explain the plan shortly. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, that's right. It's also there in the Mangacharan. Very good. Then she moves on to say, Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. And she continues to say that, let me again offer my respectful obeisances unto you. You know, you are the Supreme Lord, but you so kindly became the son of Vasudev. You became the pleasure of Devaki. You became the boy of Nanda Maharaj. And also the boy of all the other cowherd men. And you bring so much of life to the cows and also to the senses. Right? You know, this cowherd Vrindavan man, when Krishna was lifting Govardhan hill for 7 days and 7 nights, they were telling Krishna, you must be tired, let us also try and help you. So then Krishna plays a trick. He, just shuffles his finger like that and they get nervous, Right? So Queen Kunti is telling, you left Vrindavan. All right? But your mother, your dad, Nanda Maharaj, as well as Vasudev, they are all there. They love you so much. And immediately Krishna starts to make the connections with all of these devotees. So when you are making a prayer to Krishna, the trick is offer a prayer where the Lord starts connecting with all of those who are so dear to him. Okay? Then, right, she doesn't go to his feet immediately. She goes to his navel. Namah Pankajanabhaya. Namah Pankajamaline. Namah Pankajanetraya. Namaste Pankajangraye. So now she says, again, my namaste, my obeisances unto you, my Lord. The Lord is marked with the depression. His navel is like a lotus. So beautiful, right? And you are always decorated with garlands of lotus flower. And your glance is as cool as the lotus. And your feet are also engraved with the lotus. You see, such a beautiful verse, She uses Pankaj 4 times in all the 4 lines. Why? Because she is trying to tell us that whenever you see a lotus, immediately remember Krishna. Okay. Actually, I'm fortunate. My Guru Maharaj gave me a name, Padma Lochan Krishna Das. Padma means lotus flower. Lochan means eyes. So my name is the servant of the lotus-eyed Krishna. Okay, so this is how Queen Kunti is saying, whenever I see a toy, I remember my children. Whenever I see a lotus flower, how can I forget you, Krishna? Okay. Then now she goes on to explain that she has already given her greetings to the Lord, her obeisance to the Lord. Now she starts explaining what difficulties I went through, O Krishna. Visan Mahakne Purushad Darshadat Asat Sabaya Vanavasha Krityata Mride Mride Kamaharatrashrato Droni Ashtratas Kaschasma Hare Paritsita. So Droni Atratas is Dronacharya's son. Let go that Brahmastra. All right, so let's look at this. Visat Mahagni, right? Agni is fire. You saved us from a poison cake, right? My son Bhima was fed a poison cake. The same poison in the cake was enough to kill 100 people. But you saved him. You saved us from that fire which my brother-in-law and her children had planned for when they put us in a house made of lacquer. Right? Asad Sabaya, in the Sabha of all these Asad people, my daughter-in-law was being disrobed. Right? Vanavas Krichita, we were forced into the forest for 12 plus 1 year incognito. Right? And then in that war, there were so many Brahmastras put onto my children. So this is all the difficulties I went through. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashvatama. So she's not saying that, why did all of this happen? She turns the entire situation around. She said, all of this came, but you protected us. You protected our devotional service. Okay, so she's, being so much of gratitude. She's expressing so much of gratitude to Krishna. What do we do when something happens? My God, if he's there, they wouldn't have done this to me, Right? We need to change the entire equation. That I do not know why this has happened. Maybe it's my karma. Right? But do you think Queen Kunti, the Pandavas, etc., they are sort of clearing their karma? What do you think, Karuna Mai Mataji? What do you think, Prabhuji? You think they are clearing their karma? Okay. Okay, but in this particular case, do you think they are clearing their karma? Maybe. Okay, all right. Okay, very good. Ah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Raj Prabhu, can I have some water, please? Okay. What do you think, Anush Prabhu? Louder, louder.
So they are pure devotees. And devotees sometimes, like a lot gives the pure devotees some problems sometimes.
Thank you.
We show the other devotees that like offer their pure devotion. For example.
Okay, wonderful. Right, so the acharyas who give the purports to the Bhagavatam, they actually explain that exactly what Anush Prabhu says. Queen Kunti, the Pandavas, etc., just to enact the Lord's pastimes, they came from the spiritual world as associates. Once the pastimes are done, just like the Vrishnis, they had to go back. All right? So essentially, they are just playing the role of an actor in a play, so that we can actually learn from this. According to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, according to the other acharyas who have given their purports, they are all sinless. Okay? But just like sometimes a mother-in-law wants to tell a daughter-in-law something, She doesn't directly say, she tells her daughter. The daughter-in-law will listen, and then the message is passed. Similarly, for us to learn this particular incident, Krishna has taken these devotees, these associates of the Lord, to actually show this point to us. They are all pure devotees from the spiritual world. There's no question of karma according to the Shastras. Okay. So this is, going back to, this is not from Bhagavatam, but this is from Mahabharata. When Draupadi was being disrobed and Krishna was giving her a factory of sari, unlimited amount of sari. This was again her prayer, right? She didn't straight away say, come and help me. Again, she addressed the Lord. Okay. Govinda, Dwarkavasin, Krishna Gopi Jana Priya. Right? I cannot read Sanskrit, so you all can read this later. So essentially she's saying, oh Govinda, oh resident of Dwarka, you are in Dwarka, but in Hastinapur I am being disrobed. Oh friends of the Gopi, do you not know that I am being humiliated by the Kauravas? Oh Lord Lakshmi, oh Lord of Vraja, of Vrindavan, oh destroyer of affliction, save me, I'm drowning in the ocean of Kauravas. So this was her prayer. Some acharyas say that, initially she was fighting with Dushasan, but when she had both hands up, then, total surrender to Krishna. Okay. Then Queen Kunti continues. Vipada santuta sat. Vipada means problem, right? Vipada santuta sat sasvat. Tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yatsya apurna bhava darshanam. So if you look at the 25 celebrated verses from Queen Kunti, this is what really stands out. She's saying that I went through all of these difficulties, but you know what? You were always there to protect. I wish all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we no longer need to see repeated birth and death. Wow. It's a paradigm shift from how we look at problems. Oh, I don't want this to come back again to me. But she's saying that, Krishna, I know that whenever these problems comes, you will come. In fact, she's telling Krishna towards the end, please don't go. You know why, Krishna? Because when you are not around, I worry I may forget you. Because everything is fine now. My children got the kingdom. I'm Mother Queen. Everything is amazing for us. I will forget you. Do you think she will forget? No. She's an associate of Krishna, but she's teaching us that when we are very, very comfortable in life, we forget that actually everything is orchestrated for us. And she's also telling him, you don't go, because there's so much of enmity which has happened because of the Mahabharata war. Anyone can come and, stage a war against us. So these are the two reasons she's telling him, please don't go. So she's saying, let all those calamities come again and again, because whenever there are calamities, I know that you are always with me. This is very nice. Huh? Janmeshwari Ashruta Sri Edamana Madakuman Naivar Hatya Avidatum Ve Twam Akinchana Gocharam. So Akinchana Gocharam means materially exhausted. Janama means birth. If someone is born with amazing birth, with diamond-studded spoon in the mouth, they will not remember you. Aishwarya, not Aishwarya Rai. Aishwarya means Not beauty, yeah? Riches, richness. Okay, wealth. Shruta, intelligence. Shruti, right? Shruta is intelligence. Sri is beauty. All right, so people who are endowed with wealth from birth, beauty, intelligence, etc., they cannot achieve you unless, even amidst all of this opulence, they are materially exhausted. Okay? Oh my Lord, your Lordship can be easily approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is in the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere faith. So nothing wrong with being rich or being beautiful like all of you, but just know that that is not the end game. The end game is we should not be attached to this. Yes, Prabhu, why not? Ambrish Maharaj was the emperor of the universe. He had everything, the riches. At the same time, he used his head to bow down to the deity of. He used his hands to wash the temple. He used his feet to walk to the temple. He used his eyes to see the Lord. He was serving everyone. So essentially, every sense organ can be used in the service of the Lord, even if we are the richest. That is the meaning of materially exhausted. I have everything, but I'm not attached to it. The only key word is attachment. If you are using it in the service of the Lord, in the service of others, because service brings about love. Love can be enhanced to devotional love to the Supreme God. Very well said, Prabhu. Exactly what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Do your best of your duty, but do not be attached to the results. At the same time, do not be attached to not doing your duty. Okay. All right. So being fully able, should a devotee depend on the Lord? What do you think? Ankur Prabhu. I need to finish this today. Yeah. Should not depend, huh? No. This is a different context. I am fully able to do it, but I don't depend on the Lord. Therefore, I don't have to depend on the Lord. Everything I can do, no? Why depend on the Lord? Yeah. It's a different context. Raj? Okay, Bhagwanji? Thank you, Bhagwanji. Right, so your answer. Exactly. Yes, very good. Hare Krishna ji, how are you? Hare Krishna. So, everything comes from the Lord. Nothing is ours actually. And it's also taken in time back by the Lord. Okay. So it's very important for us to realize that we can desire something. The Lord needs to sanction it based on whether we have the karma points for it. And then material nature under the jurisdiction of Goddess Durga takes over to award it. Okay. 3 doers. We are just the first doer. Okay. So, right, it's our declaration of the dependence on God. Some Angrez said it, I do not know who. It's our dependence on the Lord. Okay. So, 25 verses, but I just gave you the 7 verses. So then, what does Krishna do? Krishna just smiled. Okay, the Lord then just gave a mild smile. Smile is enough to get rid of all our distress. He also acknowledged the service of the devotees and relinquished their distress by his beautiful smile. The reflection on his face, decorated with earrings, was so pleasing because it dazzled with the rays from his lips and the beauty of his nose and eyebrows. So the Lord just smiled. He stayed for a few days, then he went. Okay. So who can perform devotional service? In the interest of time, I will share the answer. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desires, okay, sarva kama, all material desires, without any material desire, okay, which is akama. Akama means without any material desires or desiring liberation. Moksha kama must by all means worship the Supreme Lord, which means that even if we have not reached that stage of pure devotional service, it's okay. All right, even if I want a Mercedes Benz or, I want this for my children, etc., it's all right. Still worship the Supreme Person. Because by worshipping the Lord, what happens? We get purified, and by getting purified, then you become detached. You become detached and the desires will automatically go off. Okay? So remember, Bhagwanji, it's okay. Start from there and then slowly build it up. Not this life, it's okay. Next life we come back. But the promise of Krishna is nothing is lost in devotion. Okay, so you can see this later on. Okay. The mood of sarva kama is attachment. Moksha kama is detachment. But, okay, akama is engagement, which is I engage those things in devotional service. Okay. Sarva kama is karma yoga, right? It's karma, not karma yoga, it's karma. Moksha kama is I want to liberate into the Brahman effulgence of the Lord. That is jnana. Akama is I have it, but I'm using in the devotional service of the Lord. That is bhakti. Okay? Those who are sarva kama, if they continue just being attached to the material, being inspired only by more and more material, that's going to become frustration. They may get it, but then with the law of diminishing returns, you need more to satisfy that. Okay? When you are moksha kama into liberation, you get some peace. But then when we merge as spirit souls into the Brahman effulgence, what do? You merge and then what do? You cannot do any service, you cannot do anything. Little bit of peace, but sometimes it can bring about some frustration. But happiness comes from akama. You have everything, but you are joyously using it in Krishna's service. So casual versus intense devotional service. We have been discussing this many times. Yeah? We are all casual mode. No? Yeah. Hope one day Krishna will give us that mercy so that we can have that intense devotional service. All of us. I'm not sure about you, but I'm certainly, maybe not even here yet, but we try. Who knows one day with the mercy of a sadhu. So this is Queen Kunti's prayers, the entire 25 verses. You can go through this in a summary. Now we go into Bhisma Dev's prayers. Okay. So, Ravana, okay, Ravan, Duryodhan, they were always thinking of Krishna and Ram and Krishna. So, Karunamai, thinking of Krishna is good, isn't it? That's devotion, isn't it? Was it devotion in that regard? Ravana was all out to kill Ram. Duryodhana just wanted to kill the Pandavas, and he was angry with Krishna because Krishna kept on protecting them. Always thinking of the Lord. Is that bhakti in these two senses? What do you think? Subhash Prabhu? Exactly. It has to be favorable to the Lord. Okay? Then it becomes bhakti. Otherwise, just thinking, yes, you get punya. But bhakti only happens when you are doing something for the pleasure of the Lord. So a favorable activity which increases your love and devotion to serve the Lord, that becomes real bhakti. Okay? So that's the highest rasa, which is, getting into a devotional service. Now let me just introduce you to this concept of rasas. Rasa is taste, isn't it? Right? Different relationship, reciprocation with the Lord. Okay? So the highest spiritual realization is knowledge that the Lord is the reservoir of all rasas. So in our class, what we have actually learned before was that you can become a dasya of the Lord as a servant like Hanumanji, right? You can become dasya sakha like Krishna or the Pandavas. Okay, then you have the Madhurya Ras or the Shringara Ras. That is like the conjugal love between Radharani and Krishna and the gopis. Okay, Dasya Vatsalya. Vatsalya is like a father or a mother to Krishna. Okay, and then you have the neutral ras where you are like, the Lord is, I worship the Lord in awe and reverence. The Lord is down there. All right, I'm a very formal kind of relationship. Okay, those are 5, but apart from these 5 rasas, there are 7 more secondary rasas. Okay, Raudra. Okay, some pure devotees can get into an anger kind relationship with the Lord. The Lord also can get anger. Okay, Raudra. And then there's also Veera or chivalry. So these 2 rasas of Raudra and chivalry were exhibited by Krishna to Bhisma Dev. Okay, so it's hard to. There is Bhisma Dev fighting to kill Arjuna. His arrows are also hitting Krishna. How can that be devotional service? Over here we learn, right? A favorable activity. Bhishma Dev is shooting arrows to Karunamai. Bhishma Dev is shooting arrows to Krishna. Is that favorable? What do you think, Satya Mataji? How can it be favorable? My mother comes and slaps me. Is that favorable to me? What do you think, Raj? That is why, if we read the scriptures just like this, we will never understand it. You need the acharyas to give the purport. Then you will like, wow. Okay. Actually, we learn that Bhishma Dev is in a devotional service with Krishna. He has so much of love with Krishna. His arrows were seen like what, like love bites between a lover, right? So he had the intense desire that Krishna should come in front of me and fight with me. Okay, I want to see that. And later on he explains that, oh Arjuna, you have not seen this. I have seen how Krishna carried that wheel and he was charging at me just like a lion is charging against an elephant. I've seen how his curly hair became ashen with dust from the horse's hoofs, the dust from the horse's hoof. I have seen all that. You could not see, O Arjuna. I've seen how the beads of perspiration were flowing on his bluish face like dew on a blue lotus. I've seen how my arrows were piercing his body and the blood was actually decorating his entire body. Oh Arjuna, I have seen this. You have not seen because you are always at the back of him. So you see, as ordinary as ordinary Hindus, we cannot understand this unless we go deep into the scriptures. So, yeah, you can read about these rasas later on. Okay, so we also spoke about, Shalini, I always remember you. How do you know when bhakti is working? You feel nourished, you feel satisfied, and then that hunger for the material goes away. Okay, so you can read this verse, which we explained. So this is Ganga Mai, Mother Ganga, right? So I'll go very quickly. If you want to go in detail, you can listen to the YouTube video. My daughter now calls me a YouTuber. So I have a YouTube which I did on in Brahmapuri, which explains this whole pastimes. Okay, this is in front of Mother Ganga when I'm reciting them. It's amazing. I felt so good doing it. So Mother Ganga, one by one, her children, she was releasing them in the waters until the 8th child, Shantanu, her husband, stopped her. I'm going really fast because this is already covered in the earlier classes. But so Shantanu stops. How can you be just killing our children? This is the 8th child. She says that this is an arrangement of the providence. The 7 children who have been released in the water, they are the Vasus. The 8th is also Vasu. The 7th were cursed that within a year, okay, they can suffer on the material plane, but then after that, they will go back to the spiritual world. But the 8th one will live his entire life on planet and go through the motions of a human, because Prabhash, who is Bhisma Dev in his previous life, he stole the Kamadino cow of Vasistha Muni. Okay, Vasistha Muni found out and he cursed these 8 Vasus. The 7 Vasus were helping Prabhash with this. Okay? So then they came and they pleaded guilty and I'm sorry, Vasishti. And Vasishti, okay, Ken. Prabhash, who was the mastermind, he will have to lead his entire life on earth. But all of you remaining Vasus, you can just go to earth for a while and then come back. So that role was given to Mother Ganga to make their life really short. The moment they are born, so they go into the water. Okay. So then Ganga also had this promise with her husband Santanu that he will not ask any question, because he asked her, why are you killing our children? When the 8th child was going to be put in the water, then she said, you broke your promise, I'm now going. So she went with her 8th child. She went away with the 8th child, Devavrata. Okay. So what she did was she got him prepared in the art of warfare, in the scriptures, etc. All right. His gurus were like Markandeya Rishi. Even Vashishta Muni, who had cursed him, became his guru. All right. So he learned all of this. Even Parshuram actually taught him the entire warfare. So until the age of 16, he learned all of this. And then Mother Ganga came and released him back to his father. Who's the father? Shantanu. Okay. So how did this episode happen? Devavrata, he actually stopped the flow of Ganga into Hastinapur. Just by his archery, he managed to stop. He stopped it. Right? He managed to stop. And then Shantanu came and said, what are you doing? All right. He said, no, I'm respecting my mother Ganga. And then when Shantanu came, Mother Ganga actually appeared from her waters and then told Shantanu that this is your son. For 16 years, you did not see him, but I was nurturing him in all the arts. Okay, now he's your son and he will take care of you. Okay. Along the way, Shantanu was very happy, but then Shantanu got attracted to a boat girl. All right, he got attracted to the boat girl. The boat girl's father, Satyavati is the boat girl. Okay, the boat girl's father said, no, she cannot marry you because the children who will be born from her will be like the princess and cannot be the king. Then Devavrata, he said that no, I take two promises. Number one is, I will always serve the king. And number two is, I take a strict vow of brahmacharya. I will never marry anyone. And I will never be the king. Your children will be the king. All right. So that happens. Everyone is happy. But Satyavati already had another child. Okay. Because Parasara Muni was on the boat with her. And then, through the power of mantra, he gave her a child. So that's another story. So now Ganga returns, and that is the vow of Bhisma, which we just discussed. So then, for Satyavati's children, Vishwa, what Virya is that? Okay, Vichitra Virya, that's right. Okay, needed to get Vichitra Virya married. And then he brought Amba, Ambika, and Ambalika. Right? Amba said, I'm already married. I'm already in love with another prince. Right? How can you just kidnap me now? What's going to happen to me? She went back, and then the prince did not accept her because she was kidnapped away by Bhishma. Okay. So then Amba made a vow. I will be the cause of your destruction. I will be the cause of your death. So Amba was born again as Shikandi, right? And so the war goes on. Bhishma Dev, he has that mercy from the Supreme Lord that he's what is it called? He could die at any time he wished. Right? Ichha Mrityu. Thank you, Prabhu. So when Shikandi came in front of him, he said, she's a woman. I will not, get into a warfare with her. I will not get into a fight with her. So she came in front of him, and Bhishma Dev's weapons were down, and then Arjuna took that moment, that advantage to shoot as many arrows as possible on Bhishma Dev. Okay? Ken, am I getting it right? Good. Okay, so now he's all with his arrows, just lying. Okay? If you go to Kurukshetra, there's a temple which has this, and then, he was thirsty, and Arjuna just shot into the floor, into the ground, and Mother Ganga actually appeared and quenched his thirst. So Bhishma Dev was just waiting for this moment. He was waiting for Krishna to actually appear with the Pandavas. Krishna told the Pandavas, you please come with your chivalry, your entire royal attire, because this will make your grandfather so pleased. Okay? So they all came in front of the grandfather Bhishma, and then Krishna is so merciful. Even towards the death moments of Bhishma Dev, Krishna told Yudhishthira Maharaj, you please hear from him the entire art of politics, the art of, how do you go about looking after your citizens, etc., governance, etc. So now, while he was laying on the bed of arrows, he says this to the Pandavas. I maintain, therefore, that all this is within the plan of the Lord. Accepting the inconceivable plan of the Lord, you must follow it. You are now the appointed administrative head. And my Lord, you should now take care of those subjects who are now rendered helpless because their dependents have all, the kings, not kings, but the soldiers, etc., they've all been killed. Okay? So then Bhishma Dev explains to the Pandavas, this Krishna, whom all of you are thinking to be your friend, your cousin, etc., know that he is the supreme personality of God. Okay? He's the controller of all the universes. Everything emanates from him. Everything is created from him. but he is so kind that he came as your cousin. Right? So now the logic is that Bhisma Dev is he's going to die any moment. One should not have asked Bhisma Dev any question at that time. But Krishna wanted to prove that his pure devotees, like Bhisma Dev, are always sound in body and mind because of the spiritual enlightenment. And thus, in any circumstance, a devotee of the Lord is perfect, is in a perfect order to speak the right way of life. Oh, no, don't get into this pitiful mood and all that, because that person is a spiritual entity, yeah? Right? He's not a regular Joe, He's Bhishma Dev, the devotee of the Lord, right? Who saw the Lord in front of him. Just like Prabhupada, towards the final moments of Prabhupada, in Vrindavan, he was still translating and giving purports to the Bhagavatam. That is a pure devotee. Regular Joes like us, what will we do? Oh, Amma, oh, Appa, we'll scream out, because of the pain during death. But they are in full consciousness. The father likes to see the son becoming famous than himself. The Lord therefore declares very emphatically that the worship of the devotee is more valuable than the worship of the Lord. Okay? So Krishna wanted his son, his devotee, to be more glorified than him. But Bhishma Dev wanted this much only, that his mind be absorbed in thinking of the Lord and that he thus passes away. That is the greatest ambition of a devotee. So he says, at this moment, let my thinking, my willing, and my feeling be at the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay? So now the Bhishma Stutih starts. I'll try to complete this. I hope it can give me about 11 o'clock we will stop, okay? So we can go to Canto number 2 next week. So, Sri Bhisma Stutih. Sri Bhisma Uvacha Iti mati upakalpita vitrishna Bhagavati satvata pungave vibhumi Iti mati upakalpita vitrishna Bhagavati satvata pungave vibhumi Swasukam upagate kvachit viharatam Prakatim upeyusiyat bhava pravaha Swasukam upagate kvachit viharatam Prakatim upeyusiyat bhava pravaha. Vishwa Dev is saying, let me now invest my thinking, my feeling, and my willing. Everything in the class you can forget, but don't forget these 3 words. My thinking, my feeling, and my willingness, which was so much engaged in different subjects and my occupational duties. Let me now keep all of that aside and just focus on the all-powerful Sri Krishna. The Supreme Lord is always self-satisfied, but sometimes, just sometimes, being the leader of the devotees, he enjoys the transcendental pleasure by descending on the material world, although from him only the material world is created. Just like we all as parents, sometimes we want to play with our children, right? I remember when my kids were small, I'll play masa masa with them. I'll just want to engage, Yeah, you just feel like doing that. So the Lord also feels, hey, let me play with my kids. Let me play with the citizens. Okay, so the Lord then came. Unless one is purified from all sorts of material desires, unless one is purified and materially exhausted, the Lord doesn't become one's leader. Desires cannot be wiped out, but they can be purified by dovetailing it to devotional service. Krishna confirms in 10.10 in the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita that he gives his instruction from within the heart of a pure devotee who is constantly engaged. It becomes realized knowledge, okay? Such instruction is given not for any material purpose, but only for going back to the spiritual world. For the ordinary man who wants to lord it over the material nature, the Lord only sanctions and becomes a witness of activity. Lord as Paramatma, if we go to the Lord with devotional service, the Lord will guide us. But the same Paramatma, if you want to enjoy, the Lord will just watch. Okay, will just watch and register. Tribhuvana Kamanam Tamala Varanam Ravikara Gauravarambaram Dadane Vapura Aglaka Kula Vartana Nabjam Vijaya Sakhera Tirastume Navadyam. Sri Krishna is the intimate friend of Arjuna. He has appeared on earth in the transcendental body which resembles the bluish color of the Tamala tree. His body attracts everyone in the upper, middle and lower planetary system. Remember the 14 planetary systems we learned about? In every universe there are 14, 1-4. We are in the middle. You have the higher planetary systems and the lower at the bottom. May his glittering yellow dress and lotus face covered with paintings of sandalwood be the object of my attraction, and may I not desire anything else. I just want the image of the Lord to be in front of me. Now he explains what I discussed earlier on the battlefield where Sri Krishna attended Arjuna out of friendship. The flowing hair of Krishna turned ashen. Black curly hair became brownish due to the dust raised by the hoofs of the horses. And because of his labor, beads of sweat wetted his face. All these decorations, intensified by the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows, they were enjoyed by the Lord. Chivalry, Veera. Okay, let my mind thus go on to Sri Krishna. This is interesting. Sacrificing his own promise not to fight and to fulfill my desire, I wanted to see Krishna fight. He ran towards me with a chariot wheel while the earth shook and his outer garment fell onto him. Let my gati, my destination, be Lord Mukunda, who rushed towards me as if angry to kill me, right? Like the lion wanting to pounce on the elephant. His body covered in blood from the wounds of my sharp arrows. You see, reciprocation. Lord didn't want to fight, but I wanted to see him fight. At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be Sri Krishna. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjuna, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope on his left. He was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield attained their original. Anyone who was there at the battlefield who saw Krishna, they all went back to the spiritual world. Okay. Then Sutta Goswami says to all the sages, thus Bhisma merged himself into the super soul, Sri Krishna, with his mind, speech, sight and actions, and thus he became silent and his breathing stopped. Okay. So then chapter 10 speaks about the departure of Krishna for Dwarka. Remember, Queen Kunti told him to stop. He stayed for a few days. After that, he went over. Then chapter number 11 explains entrance of Krishna into Dwarka. Okay. And then chapter number 13 explains Vidura convincing his blind brother that don't stay in the palace anymore. Right? The same people whom you had hated, you wanted to kill, now they are feeding you. What kind of life is this? You please retire. All right. He took the advice of Vidur and he left with Gandhari. Within 5 days, you can read this in your notes. Within 5 days, okay, he had his yogic powers. He burnt himself up, and Gandhari also merged into the fire. Right? But he didn't go to the spiritual world because he still had that anger with Krishna. Okay? Then we speak about Pariksit Maharaj. Right? From the womb of Utara, he grows up, he becomes the best king. right? A very, very noble, responsible emperor of the universe. And when Kali Yuga was coming in, was starting, he was tasked to kill Kari Purush. We discussed all of this the last week. So maybe next week we'll just explain this a little bit quickly, and then we'll move on to the second canto. So thank you very much, everyone. I'll remain here for questions, but if you have no questions, you can go down. There's a nice satsang going on. Right? So Granth-Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Okay, just a minute. Let me see who is still surviving.
Hare Krishna Babuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Just a minute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Lalita, happy birthday to you. Hope you enjoyed yourself yesterday.
Yes, I did. Thank you for being there, all of you.
Okay, hey, why don't you all turn on your cameras, man? Samugam Prabhu, thank you very much for joining. Shukal Raj, thanks for being the moderator. Manoj, my childhood friend, thank you. Malti Mataji, Hare Krishna. Venkataraman from Bangalore, thank you. Ravi, Hare Krishna. Chitra Mataji, Hare Krishna. Ben Prabhu. Manoj, what happened to you? Long time didn't come over here. Venkataraman Prabhu, Sharda Mataji, Hare Krishna. Renuka, my dear wife, is at home today. Dorothy. All right, so thank you very much for joining. Next week, we will continue with Canto number 2, right? And yeah, have a great week. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Bye, Ben Prabhu.